What is going on, world? Welcome back once again. My name is ZacNovak and this is ZacNovak Plays Games. At the moment I'm wearing a Warlock hat because Warlocks are cool. In today's video we're talking about a weapon called the Cerberus +1. Very interesting weapon, very cool. Let's get into it. I hope you enjoy. Alrighty, getting straight into the video. The Cerberus +1. Now Game Informer has been giving out details and teasers about Destiny 2's upcoming Forsaken DLC, and this weapon in itself is one of the vast majority of exotics that we will get that is pretty freaking cool and unique. Let's go down and actually read out what it does. Now quickly keep in mind it says the life exotic. If you guys played Destiny 1, go back and actually have a look at that. You get exotic bonds that are called like the life exotic and bonds like that can actually sit on your character that can be an exotic, so you can wear 2 exotics. It's kind of cool. Check it out. Anyway, the power of
Christ compels you!
Contra's spread gun in Destiny 2 Forsaken. Now reading verbatim, they state, because 3 heads are good, but 4 is better. Destiny's exotic weapons sport some extravagant looks, the sleek Egyptian adornments and sun-shaped reticle of Vigilance wing, the monstrous frame and pulsing conductors and electrified bullet trails of the Legend of Acreus. These weapons are as much about fashion as they are about function. Sometimes though, the best bet is to just tie 4 different barrels on one gun, slap a mysterious power source onto it and hope it works. The Cerberus +1 looks like what would happen if you tried to squeeze all the ballpoints of a 4-color pen through the tip at once, broke the thing and kept running anyway. It's a patchwork weapon built out of the barrels, stocks, sights and various remnants from other auto rifles. The fans should be inspired. There's a bunch of different guns and various guns, says Gred Peng, Bungie's senior sandbox designer. And keep in mind, there is the origin story in there and some of the Kavos stuff. Pretty freaking cool. This weapon in itself is built by a guardian named Jezza Jeopardy Verlian. Sorry if I butchered that name, but the Cerberus 1 uses a mysterious power source called the photonic heart to power its unstable physique. Though Jeopardy had other plans for the heart, perhaps she would have sold it or used its power in some sort of other contraption requiring immense amounts of energy. However, she had to abandon them after crash landing on the tangled shore. And think quick in order to avoid being ripped apart by its inhabitants. Using the scrap around her, she crafts the Cerberus 1. Using the power of photonic heart, which is inside the battery casing, you can see strapped to the side of the gun. The spot in question, as you can see, let's just circle it. Cool, now you're aware. Photonic heart, keep in mind things like that are coming to Destiny 2 in the future, which is kinda cool because it means there's probably a bunch of other exotics that we kinda have to do certain things to get or acquire or unlock, or just achieve. The improvised nature of the Cerberus +1 comes through in its visual design. The broken, rusted frame and bare-bones stock communicate a function over form design, while the duct clamps keeping the whole thing from falling apart mean it was likely built in minutes, not hours. And while a Destiny gun tends to feature in-world ammo counters that can tell you when you're about to run out of ammo, Cerberus +1's ammo counter is kind of busted and broken. It can only tell you how much ammo is left for one of the 4 magazines at a time. So the counter increments up and down as you fire. Don't worry about reloading though, you reload its entire magazine stock at once, which means you are pretty much just a god because you can reload 4 weapons at once. Cool! They continue to state, the DIY look may not endear itself to everyone, but it's worth it for Cerberus +1's main attraction, mowing down fodder and bosses alike with a constant rate of spread fire. The team admits the gun is directly inspired by Contra's spread shot weapon. The gun's early development name was SSS Spread Shot, and while its shots don't spread as wide as that iconic weapon, it works wonderfully in the world of Destiny. Each of its 4 barrels fire simultaneously, leading to a constant spray of bullets in a large area. It's not really a gun you have to aim, sandbox design lead Josh Hamrick said. You just point and try to get close. The weapon is best at point blank, where its spread is absolutely lethal, but as an assault rifle it's no slouch at range either. It's tuned to kind of generally give the same DPS at most ranges, so it's got this weird drop-off pattern, Peng says. The middle bullet is always in the middle, so you can always guarantee that at least that middle bullet will hit. Yeah, middle is kind of sounding more repetitive in my head. Anyway, they go on to state, so while it might not be as much of a threat from afar, you should be able to confidently pick off low health targets who manage to flee your initial onslaught of bullets. In itself, the Cerberus +1's perks also help make it versatile. The Spread Shot package perk focuses the spread while aiming down the sight, making it more versatile against lone distance enemies. This also means if you are being swarmed, hip firing will give you the widest spread possible to push them back. Fittingly, however, the gun's other perks will all be based around its barrels. Its perk includes Rifled Barrel, which increases range but slows down its reload time, Fluted Barrel, which makes it easier to wield and aim, and Full Bore, which further increases its range and makes it a little bit less stable and also lowers its handling speed. It's a strange confluence of perks that seem contradictory, but that's to be expected when the gun itself is also cobbled together from parts that shouldn't really fit together in itself. So yeah, it's kinda cool. I'm very excited and kinda hyped for this. Peng states, playing through a strike with this weapon, I was delighted to see a berry of damage numbers pop up as I riddled enemies with bullets. It's a total mob killer, Peng says. It also works beautifully against bosses with large weak points such as servitors, and by beautifully I mean that seeing a dozen of so yellow critical hit numbers pop up on my screen put a dumb smile on my little face. And while I'm a hardened aim down sight player, I was much more inclined to hip fire when I knew I could take down multiple enemies at once with the wider spread. It felt strange and good to have a crowd control of shotgun or grenade and the reliability of a kinetic weapon all in one package. Spicy gun. The combination of reliable aim and ridiculous fire rate makes it good for crowd control, but don't expect it to dominate in the crucible. It's kind of a specific use case, Peng says. Its spread makes it hard to beat opponents at range, and other close range weapons could far better in tight quarters do you well. If you need a close range weapon that doesn't fall off completely as your opponent flees, it should make for a solid pick. The Spread Shot does have its perks though. I find it useful for airborne encounters since it's easy to hit with, says senior gameplay designer Claude Jerome. Hi Jerome! The range of its shots also makes Cerberus +1 useful for unloading early in order to catch unsuspecting players around corners. Since you don't have to guess as diligently about where your opponent's head might be, its wide spread also means you're likely to catch a few stray kills you won't get with most other weapons. That way you might use Hard Light's bouncing bullets, because Hard Light's pretty OP. Anyway, it's stated, during my time with Forsaken's various areas and features, Cerberus +1 became a trusty ally. Since it's a kind of kinetic weapon, you won't have too much trouble finding ammo for it. I end up using it so much I forget other weapons didn't have spread shot, or at times even that they existed. And while I wasn't maximizing my damage potential, I was able to hold my own against Forsaken's tougher enemies at most ranges with it without having to switch weapons. It's powerful and reliable, which is everything you ask from a weapon, flashy exteriors or not. Plus again, you just gotta love all the numbers it puts on the screen. It's a lot of fun. This gun honestly reminds me slightly of, well, the Fourth Horseman in Destiny 1. Much like the Fourth Horseman where you kind of just held down the trigger and it fired fast as possible and was a big kind of range area, I think this thing in itself will fit perfectly in Destiny 2, especially if there's more like this. Potentially it could even have an actual unlocked skill perk tree kind of thing. It's like the Kvostov where you can change a bunch of different things. We'll see how that happens. I'm pretty sure Bungie's going to do that. But anyway, this has been ZacNovak. This has been the amazingly awesome freaking, let's just put it here, ding, this weapon. As you can see, Cerberus +1. Pretty freaking cool. I like it. Anyway, this has been ZacNovak. Leave a like, leave a comment, let me know if you guys are excited about Forsaken, or if you're excited about one specific thing. Like, I'm excited about bows and this weapon and just, you know, using different supers, like you're able to go, I believe I can fly as a Titan. Let's just roll that clip. Anyway, once again, this has been ZacNovak. Do all that good stuff down below, and I'll be sharing like Karen if he was at Sharon. But until next time, this is ZacNovak, signing off. Peace out.